Do your feet hurt? Are you struggling with foot or arch pain? Have you been told you have plantar fasciitis? Then this video is for you. Okay, so we're going to start with the mobility for the foot and for the calf muscles. We're going to use a simple lacrosse ball. Any kind of massage ball could potentially work. What I'm going to be focusing on is, of course, the base of the heel where the plantar fascia starts. Up, you think of like a rectangle. It could be up to here, across here, down here, in this general area. Starting in a seated position, you could progress this into standing. It's going to be a lot more pressure. So if I place this right on the base of the heel, try to find those trigger points, tender points, and I'm going to start really slow. So common mistake I see with mobilizations like this is people just go too far too fast. You really want to kind of get into it slowly. If you find a trigger point or a knot, just kind of hold it. You might want to hold it for about 30 seconds or more, and then you're going to start to move it just slowly back and forth. And you can work towards the front of the foot. I'm just doing very slow oscillations. You can also go side to side, again, pressing down and pushing through any knots or trigger points that you feel. And you should feel within 1 or 2 minutes like it starts to relax and release. Tension's a little bit less. Plantar fasciitis, in a large part, is a friction problem, trying to reduce friction to this area. So 1 to 2 minutes there. You could also use the good old-fashioned frozen water bottle. A lot of people have probably already heard about that. I've got one right here. This adds ice to it. You could also do this one at the end of the session if you want to add a little bit more ice to reduce inflammation. Put it right here. Same spot, just right in that heel, pressing down, and then just going to roll it back and forth in that direction. Okay, now we're going to move on to the mobility for the calf muscles. All right, after we mobilize the plantar fascia, we're going to move on to the calves. This one you'll need a simple foam roller to do. I'm starting in this position with this leg on the floor, and I'm starting with the foam roller near, not under the knee, but right below that where the calf muscles start. I'm going to slowly roll back and forth, putting pressure right into the calf muscles. And eventually, as you do it for a minute or two, you're going to get down, all the way down into this area, where you're going to want to roll into the soleus and also towards the inside, getting like the posterior tibialis. Those would be the main spots. You can do the outside, but I found with this condition, usually you want to stay in the back and towards the inside. If you want more pressure, if you like a little deeper pressure, you can cross this, put this leg on top of the other one. You might not be starting with this one, but this one you could progress towards and putting some pressure, a little bit additional pressure on here, and then using my arms and sliding back and forth. Again, you're going to roll it out for a minute or two. You want to feel like any knots or trigger points start to release and relax, so don't go too fast. And that'll be the mobilizations for level 1. And now we're going to move on towards the stretches. All right, so for the first stretch for plantar fasciitis and heel pain, I'm going to bring this foot, cross this foot over the other. Now, if your hips are tight like mine is, you want to try to bring your back up straight. You're probably already going to feel a little bit of a stretch here in your glutes. That's part of the stretching program as well, so we're going to combine two things into one here. The main stretch is going to be for the big toe. I'm going to have my foot and my shin kind of at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to hold my foot right here, grasp the toe, the big toe especially, and start to bend it back into a stretch. Now again, you don't want to push it into any pain. You just should feel a nice good stretch, and you want to hold it for at least 30 seconds or more. And you're going to repeat this 1 to 3 times a day. Honestly, you could do this more often. The more, the better. And release it. So again, you can also go right into a seated glute stretch. If I already feel a little bit of stretch, my right hip is usually a little bit tight. So I feel this already a little bit, but if I keep my back straight and bring my chest forward into it, I'll feel a glute stretch. I can hold that for about 30 seconds or more. Another way to do it is also to grab your leg right here and pull your knee across the body. And as long as you feel that nice stretch in your glute, you're going to get a good stretch there as well. So now we're going to move on to the standing exercises. Okay, after you've done the seated big toe / glute stretch, we're going to do a calf stretch. A little bit different than maybe what you've seen before. I'm going to have face the wall. I'll be facing this wall. I'm going to put, for my right foot, I'm going to put my foot up against the wall, start to stretch my big toe back. So the first thing I'll feel is a stretch in that big toe. Again, not going to be painful, just starting to get that stretch. Once I have it, I'm going to keep my knees straight and start to lean my whole body forward until I feel that stretch in my calf and in my big toe at the same time, getting that whole complex. Make sure you keep your foot pointed straight ahead. And you want to hold that stretch for at least 30 seconds or more. Again, this is one of those ones you can do at least once a day. You can do 3 times a day. The more often you do it, probably the faster you're going to see results for your plantar fasciitis. When I back off of that stretch, the secondary stretch is going to be for the soleus. I'm going to bring the knee forward towards the wall just until I get that secondary stretch with the knee bent. And hold it for about 30 seconds. Now, when we get to level 2, we're going to add a couple different things to this to work some of what I call the missing pieces for plantar fasciitis exercises. But we will save that for level 2. So this is the standing calf stretch. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to show you now is a glute stretch lying down on your back. I already went over the glute stretch that you can do in seated position with the big toe stretch. This is another way to do it. What I'll do is cross my left leg over the right, and I'm going to start to bring this knee up towards my chest, grab underneath the thigh, and pull it up until I feel a nice good glute stretch right here. That's where you should feel it. And I'm going to hold it again for about 30 seconds or more. This is one you'll do 1 to 3 times a day. You could do it more often if you like. As I mentioned, the 3 things that you commonly see with a pronated foot posture. One of them is glute tightness. The other one is hip abductor weakness. And the other one is calf tightness. So this one addresses the glute tightness. And there you go. All right, for the strengthening exercises for level 1, I'm going to start with toe yoga. So I like to do yoga postures and exercises and incorporate them into physical therapy. So it's really doing yoga for physical therapy practice. Right now we're going to focus in on the toes. So you can see I have my feet flat on the floor. I'm evenly grounded. If I bring my toes up and down a few times just to get some range of motion, see if you can bring them up and flare them out a little bit. I have very limited ability to do that myself, but this is just a good warm-up. Now to do the toe yoga, what we're going to do is I'm going to ground. I'm going to start off with this foot, just showing you the left one here. If I ground the toes into the floor and release, now I'm going to ground just the big toe only into the floor and raise the other 4 up off of the floor. As much as I feel like I can, I'm going to hold it for at least 10 seconds, working up to 30, and release. Now we're going to switch to the other side, where I'm going to ground the other 4 toes and lift up the big toe. Ground the other 4 toes, lift up the big one. So now I'm getting a nice little stretch on that flexor hallucis longus, or the tendon that flexes the big toe. As well as when I do this one, I feel it's creating some arch. So this one is similar to, let me go ahead and release here. I'm going to go back to the other side again, pressing the big toe into the ground, lifting the other 4 up. And when I do that one, I do feel some strengthening in the arch, similar to doming or the short foot drills. This one's going to add some strengthening to that arch. Holding for at least 10 seconds. And then release. So you can do this with both feet. So if I do both feet, grounding the the 4 toes and lifting the big toe up and holding. And bring it down. Now grounding the big toe, lifting the other 4. And it's a little tricky for me on the right one. So if you're really having trouble with that, you could kind of give a little push down to assist, but still try to push this toe down and hold it up while you're bringing the other ones up actively and trying to ground your foot on the outside border of your foot here. Okay, so one of the level 1 exercises for plantar fasciitis we're going to do is a sideline hip abductor strengthening exercise. And I'm going to start right on my side here, finding a comfortable position for my head. My back is up against the wall. That just keeps me from leaning back too far. And I've got this leg bent, holding it stable here. This leg is straight out to the side. And what I'm going to do is just go up and down, keeping the foot pointed straight ahead. Not a big motion. You're going maybe 6 to 12 inches up. Nice and smooth and slow. You should feel that right here on this hip abductor. As I've said, there are 3 things you commonly see with a pronated posture of the foot. One is hip abductor weakness. That's why we're doing this exercise. And we're going to start with 3 sets, 10 to 30 repetitions. So when you can do 3 sets of 30, you'll do the strengthening exercises 3 times a week. Then you are ready for the level 2 series of exercises for strengthening. And I will start with this one, of course, doing it on both sides. I'm just demonstrating on the right leg right now. All right, guys, that's the level 1 series for plantar fasciitis. And I also want to add to that too, that in addition to the exercises and mobility exercises that we've done, you would also want to consider having good footwear. Using possibly an orthotic can oftentimes help with this as well. And you'd want to stay off of your feet as much as you can, or do any activity that might irritate it, like maybe running or jumping activities. You want to have that. You want to have your pain well under control before you resume those kinds of activities. As far as the level 1 series, you might be doing this one for 1 week or more, maybe multiple weeks. It is also one that if you get things under control, you can always go back to. But if you feel like you've mastered it, and especially if you feel like these strengthening exercises are getting too easy and not challenging enough, go check out level 2. It'll be the next progression, and that'll get you further along from knocking the plantar fasciitis out of your life and fixing your pain. Thanks again. Please like and subscribe my channel, and I'll be posting videos on a regular basis. All of our other social media links are below. Have a good day.